A pleasure to meet y'all at last. Welcome back to my channel once again. And now, what I'm simply going to do here today is that, once again, it has been some time since the last time I ever uploaded anything related to my podiatry-based skill and research. And I feel like that today I probably should get in touch with another little subject that I probably should have touched up on a long time ago, but I feel like that now would be the best time to go ahead and explain this part. So I'm just going to go right ahead and just cut the camera for a moment and I'll start explaining as soon as I get there. So I've got on both of my Altra Escalante running shoes with the upper flex system, which simply is one of the most flexible modern day materials that I might have ever found whenever it comes to synthetic based construction in any shoe. So you can probably see right now I've got one foot with a sock in it and my other foot is just bare when I have my shoes on. So what I actually noticed in this case is that I feel like that both ways of wearing the shoe, whenever it comes to having just a sock on or just being barefoot while in a shoe, it does seem to be somewhat comfortable in both ways. But in all honesties, I feel like that the option to go barefoot and wearing certain shoes out there, especially ones that are closed-toed and closed-heeled, it is not actually as comfortable in most ways as it is when wearing a sock. Because of course many people out there would recommend you to wear socks with shoes at all times, especially at most job sites, but the problem here is that in ways of conventional socks, which is actually how more than 90% of all people here in 2019 happen to wear them, rather than just the 10% of people like myself who happen to wear Injinjis every day, which, as you can probably see here, the Injinji has just been known since 1999 for being the world original performance toe sock, and that of which is just the main reason why I haven't taken a lot of interest to it. And I do own a few dozen pairs because of the kind of research that puts into all of this. The so-called crappy science that applies to how the Injinji sock is constructed and how it seems to perform with every stride that you take in. I really do like how the benefits of the Injinji performance toe sock happens to really work out on when it comes to me just simply doing my everyday tasks. Whenever I'm walking or whenever I'm on certain workout equipment or otherwise, I really do seem to partake in a lot of interest to Injinji toe sock based performance. But of course, going barefoot is also something I really tend to take in because, of course, I'm able to put out as much performance as I can with my actual bare foot in the same way that my bare hand seems to work best whenever I'm not wearing a glove, for example. I seem to do much better in performance with all the individual joints in the hands and feet when they're all bare, as in they're all exposed. Wearing gloves or socks, of course, can actually lose some dexterity or some other performance that takes in, but the point here is that I do seem to find it to be as comfortable whenever wearing Altra or some other pairs of shoes, including my Vibram 5 Fingers, which I don't really have on me at the moment, but of course you've seen me wear Vibrams while barefoot. I don't actually have socks on like this because of the Drylex sock liner that is equipped onto them. And I guess the conclusion here simply shows that I find it to be comfortable to wear Altra shoes here, especially when barefoot or when wearing socks. But of course, it's pretty much just a matter of personal preference. But in which case did I seem to find a lot of, people out there that don't like wearing conventional socks, then I'd honestly just recommend them to wear Injinjis for, as long as they would need to. It's simply because of all the grand benefits of it, not just from the look, from the design, the color scheme, and the construction of different materials that are oftentimes found in the various styles and sizes of NGGs, but of course there's a lot more to them compared to conventional socks. Like even Bombas, if you've never heard of Bombas, I mean they're like the quote-unquote ultimate in the conventional sock industry. But with the Injinji sock industry, it just never seems to die off. Mainly because it just holds special places in our hearts for being the best ever sock that we could ever have our toes in. And that's just what it is, really. I seem to find a lot into it, and I gladly encourage anyone else to do that as well. Plus, of course, whenever you have a sock or you're barefoot, of course you can use Correct Toes toe spacers or Pedeg metatarsal pads or Struts foot pads. Those are options that actually help either way, but it's just a matter of personal preference, really. If you want to have a sock on while having a metatarsal pad on you or wearing toe spacers, of course, especially when you're wearing shoes with a toe box like this, then of course it's just how you think of it. But I'd say either way, it's just a really good way to get around and the like. Of course, when I'm going barefoot, though, that just leads me to the same problems as when wearing a conventional sock inside of a shoe. I would probably suffer from the same symptoms as I would when wearing a conventional sock. Like the blisters, the athlete's foot, other kinds of problems that would develop over time. But with an Injinji on, I can never worry about those ever again. So I guess that's just what that is. And so, that's just pretty much it. But I suppose that there's going to be a lot more things to come whenever it comes to the kind of research, the kind of science that I tend to learn every day from podiatry. Especially with doctors out there like Ray McClanahan or otherwise. But of course anyone out there can pretty much just take it in for themselves and simply watch on the kind of things that I tend to take on when it comes to doing podiatry-based research and simply performing certain experiments on the whole concept of the human foot anatomy and function. So, I suppose I might get back on into this whole thing, but this is just another one of those videos that will probably just lead to a certain update of mine when it comes to topics like this being put on my channel. So, I apologize if the camera's shaking, but I mean, it's just a bit heavy. So, if you want to see more, go down to my channel when it comes to any of this whatsoever. Make sure that you like, subscribe, comment, follow me on social media, and stay on the Hollywood side.